Hi, this is Ali Rango of LittleGuyCGI.com. Today I'm going to show you how to box model a female head mesh in Blender 2.8. What you're going to be shown in this tutorial is how to apply skin texture to the head mesh. You're going to be shown how to make a normal map in this tutorial. You're going to be shown how to make particle hair in this tutorial. You're going to be shown all the settings to have that particle hair work. You're then going to be shown how to apply that particle hair to card so you have the potential to do real-time hair. You're going to be shown how to make irises inside of Blender. Then you're going to be shown how to touch up those irises in GIMP, then bring them back into Blender, and then apply those irises to your character. You're going to be shown how to make teeth for your character. This is a step-by-step tutorial. As I take you through this tutorial, I try to not only explain what I'm doing, I try to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think there is a lot that you can learn about from this tutorial, particularly if you're interested in box modeling. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, please give this tutorial a thumbs up. That will make the YouTube robots happy. Also, if you like the step-by-step content that's produced on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. You can see a link in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, what we want to do now is go to Add, Color, and then select Mix RGB. So there's two mixes that you'll tend to use. This is the Mix RGB. You can tell that this is the right one because you'll see color 1, color 2. It might be slightly difficult for you to see. What we want to do with this setup here is we have this mix here, right? We have our printable shader here. So all of this here is currently going into the printable shader, right? What we want to do is we want to have all of this go into the upper part of color 2. All right, I'm going to hold control, press space, just so you can see what's going on here, just closer. So we want to have this go into color 1. I'm going to press control space again. So I'm going to take this away from the printable shader, plug this into color 1. I'm going to pull this mix shader back, and I'm just giving space for this here. I'm going to replug this mix shader into the base color of the printable shader. Now I'm taking this paint over, and I'm taking the color and putting the color into color 2. So the paint over is in color 2, and then the alpha from the paint over, I'm putting in the fact. And I'm going to hold control, then press space so you can see what's going on. So the alpha is going from we're going from the alpha to the fact, and then from the color of the paint over is going down to color 2. What was previously all going into the base color is now going into color 1. Then the mix is going into the printable shader. I'm going to hold control or press control and then press space to minimize that view. Also, this mix shader is currently set for mix. So with this setup, we're going to go back to texture paint. Here in texture paint, what we can do now is let me go back to shading. We want to make sure we have this paint over selected here in shading. Now we'll go back to our texture paint setup. We can see here in the texture slots, this is selected as well. So we should be able to paint. So we're going to go to our paintbrush. These are our two colors here. We're going to click in this white. I'm going to go to a reddish color. Now with that color, the strength is currently set for 0.7. What I can do now is I'm going to hold control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom in some. I'm holding the middle mouse button to rotate. So I'm taking this color and I'm putting this color over the lips. I want this strength to be stronger, so I'm going to take that all the way up. I want this to be more red. So I'm just going over the lips, and the color is mixing in with the other shader that we have set up. I just rolled my mouse wheel to zoom back, holding the middle mouse button to rotate. Okay, now what I want to do is take this same color. I'm going to lower the strength down, maybe to 0.4 or something. I'm going to go over areas that I think would have blood in them for the face, to give the face some color. So the cheeks, around the nose. And one thing pretty neat with this is we have this. If we want to go back, if we want to erase some of this color, what we can do is we can go to where we see blend. All right, so this is in blend. So currently we're set for mix. This seemed kind of strange to me. Again, I learned this from Grant Abbott. We can select and go to erase alpha. So now we can erase right over or lower down the color of the color that we have. So if I take this strength all the way up to 1, what I put here is erased. I think that is pretty amazing. So I'm just erasing mainly so you can see. Though I did want to lower the effect down some. So I have this blend set for erase alpha. It's a blend that lets you erase. Just remember that it's not a brush in this sense. It's a blend mode. So now I'm taking this blend mode that's currently on set for erase alpha that's letting us erase. And now I'm going back to what we had set, which is the mixed blend node. Okay, I thought that color was a little strong last time, so I'm going to go down to probably 0.2, around 0.2. I'm going to press F to increase the size of my brush. And the same thing, paint some color in. Yeah, I like how that looks better. Around the nose, around here, the eyes. Ears. Typically you would put, add color, like a reddish color to where you would see blood, or not see blood, but where blood would tend to be at. And then places that are kind of like bony, you don't have as much blood there, so not as much color in those places. I'm going to press F to push my brush in and then shrink the brush down. Okay, an important point to remember, we have this color here, right? We have to save this, or when we close Blender and then open Blender up, this will be gone. So when we look up, we see this image. There's a little asterisk sign there letting us know this isn't saved. So we'll go to Image, Save As. I'll go to Pictures, and then I'll select Save As Image, and now that is saved. Okay, let's give her some eyelashes now. So what we're going to do is go to the upper left, go to Layout. We'll go to View, Local View, and then Toggle Local View. For the eyelashes, what we're going to do is we're going to use retopology techniques. We're going to put geometry around the eye and then color that geometry. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hold Shift. We're going to right click. We did that because we wanted to put the 3D cursor here in Blender, where the 3D cursor is at, is where objects tend to come into Blender at. We're going to hold Shift, press A. This brings up our Add To menu. We're then going to select, go to Mesh Plane to bring this plane in. With the plane here, we're going to push this plane forward. We're then going to go to the upper left, go to edit mode. We're going to go to vertex select. We're going to hold Alt, press M, which brings up our merge menu. We're then going to select at center to merge all of that geometry together so that it's now one vertex. Okay, what you see here is actually looks like the origin point. However, that vertex should be in that same spot. So what I'm doing now is this orange dot, that's the one leftover vertex, I am aiming it. So from the viewport, this looks like right, the way that we have this cursor positioned, looks like the cursor is right in front of the eye. And that's what we want because we're going to make this vertex snap to our geometry that's right here. So I'm actually going to go back to object mode. I went to the upper left to do that. Okay, we want the geometry to snap to the main geometry of our head, so we can just lay this out fairly easily, this being the eyelashes. So what we're going to do is go to the upper center of the screen. We have this button, looks like a magnet. We're going to left click there. We're going to go to this next button. We're going to left click on the arrow. We're going to select face. Once we do that, additional options pop up. We want to go to project individual elements. We want to put a check mark here, and this should make it so that our vertex will snap to the geometry underneath of it, or that's next to it, which is the head. We also want to click, looks like a square, go down to viewport display, and for this in this the menus of this button, we see viewport display. We want to select in front. This will just make things easier for us as we work. Okay, what we want to do is go to our upper left, go back into edit mode. I'm going to hold control as well as holding the middle mouse button and then push in so I can have a smooth zoom. I didn't snap this yet. To snap this, we're in edit mode, so I'm going to press A, then I'm going to press G, then left click. Now this vertex is snapped to the main head mesh, which is what we want. Okay, so I'm going to hold control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom in closer. So I have vertex select on in the upper left corner. Now I'm going to hold control. Well, actually, before I do that, I'll push this down some. So I'm going to hold, pushing this a little closer to the eye. I want to hold control, then right click. So what I did was when I did that, I made this geometry extrude one vertex out. I'm going to go to vertex select now. So with this vertex select, now what I can do is I'm going to right click. So as I right click, I extrude the geometry. So I want to make this fairly even. So I'm just extruding where I want the eyelashes to be. The snapping is keeping the geometry under control as far as being snapped to the mesh. I let go of control to hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view, holding control again. Okay, I'm letting go of control. I'm just going to push this forward some. So I think that's good how that is. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the upper left, go to object mode. I'm going to go to the right, go down to the material setting. I'm going to select new for new material. This is our material here. I'm going to go to base color, select this, and select a almost totally black color. Okay, we're going to go to our modifiers. So here in the modifier panel, we're going to click the, looks like an arrow. We're going to select mirror modifier. Don't be concerned about this. I'm just putting this on because we're going to use this later. We're going to select what looks like the monitor to temporarily turn that off. We're going to go back to the modifier. We're going to go to the solidify modifier. We're going to left click that. We're going to use this to make this geometry thicker. Okay, so I'm going to left click and drag. So we made this geometry thicker here. Probably too thick. So I have this at negative 0.2. I'm going to temporarily turn off the solidify modifier. I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to hold control. I have this selected here, by the way. I'm on edge select. I have this where my mouse is near the bottom of the screen. I'm going to hold control and just extrude over to give some more geometry. I'm going to hold control. I have the one edge selected near the top now. I'm holding control. I right click. Whenever I hold control and right click, that's how I'm extruding the geometry. With that done, I'm going to left click, go to the upper left, go back to object mode now. Okay, what I'm going to do is zoom my mouse, roll the mouse wheel back to zoom back. I'm going to turn the mirror modifier on. We're going to look down. This is on the right side of the screen where we see mirror object. I'm going to left click. We're going to use the empty that we used previously. I'm also going to turn the solidify modifier back on. Okay, with this selected, I'm going to turn the solidify modifier back on. I'm going to go to the upper left, go to edit mode. Reason why we're coming in here is I'm going to go to vertex select. I'm going to left click on a vertex right here. I roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold shift and then press D to duplicate this vertex, to move this vertex up here like that. Okay, the reason why we have this vertex here is we're going to do a similar to what we did here. Let's push this over. Some here, we're pushing this. Here's the eye. We're pushing it a little past the eye towards the nose. Right on this bend is where we want it. I'm going to hold control as well as my mouse button to zoom in. I'm holding control. I'm going to right click. So when I right clicked, I extruded this geometry. I'm going to go to vertex select. Select this edge. Now I'm going to hold control. And I'm basically drawing along that top of that the curve here. I'm going to press S to scale on the end here. I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to the upper left, go to face select. We're going to hover over the eyebrows. We're going to press L to select the eyebrow. We're going to press P. This brings up our separate menu. We're then going to choose selection. Then I'm going to left click on nothingness to deselect. I'm going to go to the upper left and then go to object mode. Okay, the reason why we separated this, we made this its own object basically, is so that we can have its solidify control over this separate from the eyelashes. So with the eyelashes selected, we're going to turn the solidify modifier back on. With the eyebrow selected, we'll turn the solidify modifier on. These make the modifier look like it's all the way on. That's why I'm selecting this. With the eyebrow selected, now we can control its thickness without affecting the eyelashes. Okay, what we're going to do now is we are going to apply the solidify modifier for the eyebrows. We're going to right click on them and select shade smooth. Okay, we're going to select the eyelashes. We're going to actually take the thickness up on the eyelashes. We're going to slightly more. We're going to apply the solidify modifier. We're going to go to add modifier. We're going to go to the subdivision surface modifier. We're going to right click on the eyelashes, select shade smooth. Let's go to edit mode. We're going to turn off our snapping. We have a strange looking color here. So what I'm thinking is the normals are probably not right. We can check the normals by, let's go to vertex select. Okay, so to the upper right, we come down and your normals look right. Normals are coming out like they're supposed to. I'm not sure why we have this, just pressing G to... Why there's that strange looking... Let's see, I'll hover here, press L, G. I'm not sure why they're doing that. We're going to face select, go to mesh, normals, recalculate outside, mesh, normals, recalculate inside. There we go. So now the right. I'm going to go to the upper right, turn off this where we can see the normals coming out. Okay, I'm going to hold control as well as I'm going to mouse button to zoom in. We're going to go to edge select. I'm going to hold control. That uses something called the shortest path, and I'm basically just... Actually, I'm going to grab from back here. I'm going to select the select box tool just because I don't want the manipulator in the way. So I have two edges here, all right? I'll zoom in so you can see there's two edges there. Essentially what I want is to pull the eyelashes out. Like that. I'll select here, see if I can push this in some just to shape them some. Press turn snapping back on, press G, pull this that way some. I'll select here, press G, then Z to just trying to change the thickness at this end here. That's basically what I'm doing. So I don't want these to necessarily be thick here. I want them to be thicker towards the outside. So I'm just pressing G as well as Z for that right there. Okay, I'm going to go to the upper left. I'm going to go back to object mode, left click. Okay, what I'm going to do now is select the eyelashes. We're going to go to the upper middle screen, select shading. The eyelashes are very shiny. So rolling my mouse wheel to zoom in. See the specular here? We're just going to take this specular down. I'm going to left click on nothingness to deselect. I'm going to go back to layout mode. So yeah, that looks a lot better. The material on the eyebrows is the same as the material on the eyelashes. So that's why the specular went down on the eyebrows as well. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. Let's give her some hair now. Okay, just to be clear, the kind of hair that we're about to work on, the goal of this hair, I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. The goal of this hair is to make real-time hair. One of the things that frustrates me somewhat often when you hear people talking about hair, they don't say what that hair is for. The reason why it's important is if you're making hair for a sculpture or a 3D print, that hair is going to be made up in a way that is specific to, for the most part, that project or that meaning. If you're going to make hair for an animation, the hair is going to be made for an animation. If you're going to make hair that is real-time hair that can be used in a real-time way where your character is interactive, that hair needs to be made in a real-time way. So a lot of times you'll see just a hair tutorial. It's like when I see that, I'm like, what type of hair are you talking about? What type of hair do you mean? So long story short, we are going for real-time hair. Okay, the first thing we want to do is go to the upper middle part of our screen. We want to turn that snapping off. So I click the button that looks like a magnet. We're going to hold shift, press C. That put our 3D cursor in the center of our scene. We did that because in Blender, where the 3D cursor is at, is where objects tend to come into Blender at. I'm going to go to the upper left of the head, hold shift, press B. This lets us draw a zoom box so we can zoom in. We're on the mouse wheel to zoom back some. We're going to hold shift, press A. This brings up our add to menu. So we're going to go to mesh and then select UV sphere. We can see the outline of the UV sphere. We're then going to press S to scale this up to about there. We're using this just to block out the hair. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate, taking a look. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to take the manipulator and pull the hair back some. I'm going to press S to scale to make that bigger. Okay, what we're going to do now is we are going to, with this sphere selected, we're going to left click. We're going to add a multi-resolution modifier onto the sphere. We're going to select subdivide. We're going to take this up to 4 subdivisions. You can see where we see preview this as 4. Okay, the reason why we put this multi-resolution modifier on was so we can sculpt this hair. So what we're going to do is go to our upper left. We're then going to select sculpt mode. Okay, here in sculpt mode, what we're going to do is we're going to use the grab brush. So I'm going to press F to make my brush bigger. We're going to just pull this hair, for the most part, down. So now we'll go to the back. Just a general hair shape. So now we basically pulled the hair down to the front and the side. So what we're going to do as far as the face is we're actually pulling the hair back. We're taking advantage of the fact that it's a 3D object, it being hair, and we're pulling this hair back. I'm going to hold shift as well as the mouse button. I'm going to go to the blob brush. I'm going to hold control, and I'm just going to use this to push the hair so it's going back. I'm going to press F to shrink my brush down some. Okay, I'm going to hold control with the blob brush. The blob brush lets you control, it lets you build up geometry very quickly in sculpt mode. When you hold control, you do the opposite of building up. So if I I'm not doing it now, but if I left clicked and drag, you would see like the hair coming out, coming forward. When I hold control, it does the opposite. It's kind of like a very strong form of inflate. So I'm holding control. And my thoughts now is I'm just trying to give some space for the face, so to say, here. I'm going to hold control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom back. Okay, in sculpt mode, there's a symmetry that's turned on automatically. I want to turn off that symmetry. So we see here's the symmetry right here. So I'm selecting this X to turn that symmetry off. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to object mode while it's on my mind. Just wanted to check something. So we're selected on the face right now. We go to edit mode. Options. Okay, I just wanted to make sure this was turned off here. It doesn't affect the sculpting. I just was on my mind. So we're clicked on the hair again. We're going back to sculpt mode. We have the symmetry mode turned off, which is what we want for sculpt mode now. Okay, what we want is a part through the center of the hair. So we're going to go to the crease brush. We don't want right down the center. I'm going to press F to shrink my brush. We want this being to the side somewhat. So I am going to left click. I'll press F to make this bigger. And I'll just keep going until I have that crease that I wanted, which I have now. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the grab brush. Press F to make my brush bigger. I'm going to pull the hair up. So you know what? I'm going to go to the inflate brush. There we go. Wrong. Thought I had it. There we go. Now it's on. So we'll just inflate this up some here. Too much. When you want to smooth something out, you can hold shift. If shift automatically makes your brush go to the smooth brush, which is this. If smooth isn't enough, you can go to the flatten brush, and that will give you a stronger push down, so to say. So I'm going to go to the grab brush and pull this to the side some. I'll go back to the inflate brush here. And again, this is just for general blocking for us. I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, so here's what's about to happen. We have our basic block out here, right? To do the kind of hair that I would like to do, which is I call real-time hair, which is going to be made mainly using cards. I don't want to go and find a picture of hair. Blender has its own way of making hair, so we're going to use that. My wife Sue taught me how to do this. It's fairly quick. It's cool to know. It's good to know. So long story short, the hair that we're making the hair that we're about to make, just so you understand what's going on. We're making this hair to take a picture of, to use that on cards. Now this hair that we're making could be used on this model. So long story short, you'll learn how to make nice looking particle hair that could be used in an animation. But I wouldn't recommend it for real-time hair. So that's what we're about to do now. Okay, just so you're not, alarmed by seeing this, we're going to have this this version of Blender. I'm going to leave this open, or you can save your own version. We're going to open up another version of Blender similar to what we did before, so we can make the hair in that. Then we'll come back to this version of Blender. I just didn't want you to see the screen is switching. You're like, hey, what happened? What's going on? It's, we're going to another version of Blender to work on this hair. Okay, here we are in a new version of Blender, not version, but another Blender. I still have my other Blender file opened in the background. With the cube selected, I'm going to press, well, actually, let's go to View, Viewpoint, Front. All right, now I'm going to press, with this selected, I'm going to press X to bring up our Delete menu. I'm then going to choose Delete. I'm now going to hold Shift, press A. This brought up our Add To menu. I'm now going to bring in a plane. I'm going to zoom into the plane, hold the middle mouse button to rotate, go to the upper left, go to Edit Mode. I'm going to right-click, select Subdivide. When I did that, a Subdivide menu opened up to the bottom left-hand corner, or lower left-hand corner. I'm going to click the arrow, the number of cuts. I'm going to take this up to 2. What I'm going to do now is, with this plane selected, I'm going to press S to scale on the Y-axis, like that. I'm then going to left-click to lock that scale in. Okay, I'm going to left-click to deselect the plane. I'm going to go to the upper left-hand corner, go to Object Mode. Here in Object Mode, I'm going to go to the right. We have this right beneath the wrench. We have our button so we can work with particles. We're going to left-click that. We're going to go to the right, select the plus button. We just put a particle system on this plane. We are currently set for emitter. We want to left click on hair. So now we have the hair there. I'm rolling my mouse wheel to zoom back. The hair is going up. We don't want that. So we're going to press R to rotate on the Y-axis 180. Then press enter to lock that in. Okay, I'm holding the middle mouse button to rotate. I'm holding shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan view. I'm holding control as well as the middle mouse button, pushing the middle mouse button up to get a smooth zoom into this hair particle system. Okay, the settings that I'm going to show you that show how to set this the hair up come from my wife, Susan Arango. She has her own YouTube channel where she teaches Blender. I don't think she has a video teaching how to do hair currently. However, if you want to know more about this, if you want to reach out to her, she could go into more detail about this. Okay, the first thing we want to do is put a check mark next to advanced. We then want to go to velocity, where we see this randomize. We want to change this to 0.1. Okay, then we want to go to physics. Seems funny to me because I think physics, I think of movement. I don't think of changing things like hairstyle. However, we want to go to this Brownian. We want to change this to 0.2. Okay, we want to go to render. Where we see these steps, we want to take this up to 7. We're going to go down to viewport display. Where we see strand steps, we're going to take this up to 7. Okay, we're going to scroll down more. Where we see children, we're going to select interpolated. And where we see the render amount, we're going to change this to 250. Now we're looking for clumping. where we see this clump, we want to change this to 0.45. We want to go to where we see this kink. We want to change this to curl. Okay, where we see this flatness, we want to change this to 0.6. For the frequency, we want to change this to 5. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the top. We're going to look where we see this, the number. We're going to change this to 250. When you're working with particle hair, it used to be very difficult to get the particle hair to look right as far as the color. It's very easy now. You need to be in cycles. You want to make sure you're in cycles, not in Eevee. If you're new to Blender, by default, you start off in Eevee. This button right here, you can see we're in Eevee. So I'm going to click this little arrow, go to cycles. When you go to cycles, you'll see other options that you don't see inside of Eevee. If you have an NVIDIA card or supported GPU, you can change the GPU. That'll make your rendering faster. Okay, so to get the coloring, we go to shading. So I'll go to view, viewport, front. I'll hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to go to the right where we see the material button. I'm going to select new. And when you start off with a material inside of Blender, you start off with this printable shader, which is excellent. It works well for most of the things you do. However, for hair, it doesn't work particularly well. So we are just disconnecting this node. I'm going to press X to delete that node. I'm then going to select add. I'm going to go to texture. I'm going to go to shader. There we go. So here we have this principled hair BSDF. This is what you want. I'm going to left click there. Okay, I'm going to roll my mouse to zoom in. We're going to just go from this BSDF right into the surface here of the material output. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the upper left of the screen. We're going to go to edit. We're going to go to preferences. You're going to make sure you're selected on add-ons. You want to scroll down. See this lighting, try lighting? Put a check mark next to here. Then you can close that window with that check mark selected, as well as having your plane selected, your hair is coming out of. You're going to hold shift, press A, which brings up your add to menu. You're going to look down until you see light, and then you're going to select 3-point lights. Okay, with that done, you're going to hold shift. You're going to right click to put the 3D cursor beneath your hair. You're going to hold shift, press A. You're going to go to mesh. You're going to select plane to bring a plane in. You're going to press S to scale to make this plane bigger. I'm holding the middle mouse button just to see the plane. You're going to go to the right where you see the, looks like a square. You're going to go down to visibility. You're going to go to show in viewports. You're going to unclick that, as well as show in renders. You're going to go to the upper right part of the screen. You're currently set for viewport shading or look div. You're going to select rendered. You're going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate. I am selecting this light right here. I'm going to the light menu. I am increasing the size, or I can just press S to scale here. I'm going to press T, push this light down some, like that. I'm going to increase the size of the different lights. Just left clicking them and increasing the size. I'm going to hold shift, right click to put the 3D cursor near my hair. I'm going to hold shift, press A. I'm going to go to light. I'm going to bring in a point light, bring this out. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Actually, I'm going to go to view, viewpoint at front. Well, let's go to our layout. Let's go to render here. So what basically we're trying to do is to get a decent amount of lighting on our hair. Select it on this light here. I'm going to increase the size of that light as well as the power of it. I'm going to go to our move brush, bring this light closer. That looks better. Okay, so now that we have our basic hair, what you want to do is get a good view of the hair where you can see the hair flatly. It's basically what I mean. Okay, what we're going to do now is click on the emitter. We're going to select our particle settings. For the number, we're going to change this to 150. And we're doing this so we can actually see through the hair. I think that will work better. Let's take the length up to 5. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the upper left-hand side of the screen. We're going to select View, Align View, View, Align View, and we're going to select Align Active Camera to View. So that when we did that, that just set the camera up to look at the current view that we're looking at. Okay, what we're going to do is click the edge of this triangle. This is the camera. We're going to go to the right, select the camera. We're going to go to focal length. We're going to hold shift and then move our mouse to the left. Okay, now we're going to click near the top of the hair. We're going to push this over. This is a light here. I'm going to push this over so it's on that hair. I'm going to select the top of the hair. I'm going to hold shift and then press D, then right click. Drag this to the side. So we have a duplicate of the hair. We're going to press S to scale on the X-axis to make this hair thinner. We're going to press Shift D, then right click. To another piece of hair, we're going to press S to scale on the X-axis to make that thinner. Shift D, right click, pull this to the side, press S to scale on the X-axis to make this even thinner. We'll press Shift D, right click, Pull this to the side. That's the scale on the x-axis to make this hair thinner, even thinner. Good. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select this light. I'm going to hold Shift, press D, right click, pull this to the side, hold Shift, press D, right click, pull this to the side. With that set up, I am going to go to the right, go down to where we see film. I'm going to put a check mark next to this transparent. Okay, with all that done, we're ready to render this out. So we're going to go to the upper left. We're going to select render. This render image is what you're going to want to click to render this out. So I am going to pause the video, render this out, and then we'll come back once this is rendered. Okay, I've rendered out that hair. I saved that. Most of the time I, show you I don't skip ahead. And I went to this video before. I let it go through. This hair I want to render again. I will show you this part because it'll go faster. But just know that I saved this hair and I named it hair. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on the particle system here. We're going to go to the particle settings. We're going to go down to where we see render amount. We're going to change this to 100. We're then going to scroll up. We're going to go to where we see emission number 150. We're going to change this to 50. So with that done, this time I will let you see this. So we're going to go to render image. This should render a lot faster than the other hair. Looks good. Okay, so now with that rendered out, we're going to go to image, save as. I'm going to name this thinner hair. And I'm going to select save as image. Then I'll press that X to get out of this view. With that done, we can go into, we're going to actually go most likely go to GIMP and then go back to our other version of Blender. Okay, here we are in GIMP to get these hair textures in that we exported out from Blender. When I say get them in, I mean get them into GIMP. You would just go to File, Open, find the file, and then bring them into GIMP. We use GIMP already in this tutorial. GIMP is a open source image manipulation program. I have one tab here that has some of the hair textures showing in one PNG. There's another tab here showing the thinner hair. I'm going to hold Control and then roll my mouse wheel back, hold the middle mouse button to pan. The main reason we're coming in here is to just adjust the colors some. We're going to go to the right here. You see the layer panel. There's one layer. I'm going to right click here, select duplicate layer. The main reason I'm doing this is just so if I do something here I don't like, I have the backup right here. Okay, sometimes if you see differences uh, in between the videos, sometimes things happen in between the videos. If anything big happens, I'll try to let you know. What we want to do now is we want to select this bottom layer, turn this eye off. I'm going to left click on the top layer. I'm going to go to the upper left. I'm going to go to colors. I'm going to go down to curves. Curves is a nice way of brightening the color of things like this hair without losing contrast. I'm going to left click and push this up. So this gives us a nice brighter look to the hair without losing the contrast. I'm going to select OK. I'm going to turn this bottom layer back on. When I hide the top layer, you can see the difference between having the curves effect on compared to not having it on. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is go to File, Export As. I'm going to change this so it doesn't say, change it so it actually says hair. I'm just going to export this out. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go to the other tab. Pretty much the same thing. We're going to go to the right. I'm going to right click. I am going to select duplicate layer, hide the bottom layer. With the top layer selected, I'm going to go to colors, curves, take this dot up. I'm going to left click on OK. I'm going to go to File, Export As. Change this so it actually says hair. I'm then going to left click on Export and then select Export again. Okay, here we are back in Blender. What we're going to do is go to our upper left, go to Object Mode, select the hair, press H. I'll press B for box select. We'll select all this. Then press H to hide all of those objects. Okay, what we want to do now is we're going to hold Shift, press A. This brings up our Add To menu. We're going to go to Curve and then Bezier. So we just brought in a Bezier curve. Okay, we're going to go to the upper left, go to View, Viewpoint, and then we're going to go to Front. I'm going to hold them in the mouse button to rotate the view. There we go. So the Bezier curve is going from left to right. Okay, that's important because our plane we're about to bring in, we need to look something like this, but it needs to go from front to back, right? So we're going to hold Shift, press A. This brings up our Add To menu. We're going to go to Mesh, Plane. So here's our plane. So the Bezier curve is going along the x-axis. We want to have our plane basically look like a curve, but it's going to be going from front to back. So how are we going to do that? With the plane selected, we're going to go to the upper left, then go to Edit Mode. We're going to go to the upper left and then select Vertex Select. Okay, what we want to do is select this vertex, hold Shift, then select this vertex. Then with both those vertices selected, we're going to hold Alt, then press M. This brings up our Merge menu. We're going to select at Center. We're going to left click on nothingness, deselect, select the back vertex, hold Shift, select the other vertex. Then with both those vertices selected, we're going to hold Alt, press M. This brings up our Merge menu. We're going to select at Center. Then we're going to left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to go to the upper left, go to Edge Select. We can see we have an edge there. What we're going to do now is go to the upper left and then go to Object Mode. Okay, I think I did forget this step. We need to actually, we have the plane selected. It's plane 002. It doesn't look like we have it selected because it's right in line with this this axis color here of green. We want to go back in to edit mode. Make sure that everything is selected. We're going to right click, then select subdivide one time. Now left click on nothingness, deselect, go back to our upper left, go back to object mode. Here in object mode with this plane 2 selected, or whatever your plane is named, you want to go to object, here we go, convert to, you want to select curve from mesh. So we're going to left click. So that plane 2 is now a curve. Okay, with that curve selected, I'm going to press M. We're going to select new collection. We're going to name this bevel shape. Then select OK. So now that bevel shape, the plane 2 is in the bevel shape. What we want to do is select this Bezier curve now. We're going to go to the right to our Bezier curve settings. Okay, so with our Bezier curves settings here, we want to go down to geometry is where you want to be. See this bevel right here? This plane 2, we're going to select that, and then this happens here, and that's what you want to happen. The Bezier curve is taking on the bevel shape of the plane that we worked with. Okay, what we want to do now is we have our origin point right here. We want to move that origin point so that it is right on the end. So I'm going to hold shift, then right click to put the 3D cursor right there. I'm holding the middle mouse button just to see that in 3D space, the 3D cursor is right here. Okay, with that done, what I'm going to do is go to Object, Transform, Set Origin actually. Set Origin to 3D Cursor. So now the origin point for this curve is right here. Okay, so why are we doing this? We're doing this because this will allow us to easily manipulate the hair strands. Because this is a curve, but it's shaped like a plane, this lets us easily shape each hair strand. Also, when we eventually convert this to a mesh, this will have a very even, nice topology. Okay, what I'm going to do is, we're about to bring everything back, so I'm going to move this to the side. I'll roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm now going to press H to unhide all of our previously hidden geometry. Okay, we have this high poly mesh. We're going to select that, then hide that. Now what we want to do is take this curve, press S to scale this down. I'm going to press R to rotate on the x-axis, 90, then left click to lock that in. What we want to do is take the easiness that we can control this curve with to set up how this works with the hair. I'm going to press S to scale this down more. I'm pushing this over to the origin point here. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. We're going to push this forward like this. We're going to go for a more modest approach with the hair. I realized that if we tried to go over all of this hair, it would take a decent amount of time. So, like I said, we're going to go for a more modest approach. Okay, with this approach, you should still learn the same principles you should be able to hopefully take from this and expand on this if you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to left click on this hair block out. We're going to press H to hide that. We're going to left click now on our head mesh. Okay, with the head mesh selected, we're going to go to the upper left. We're going to go to edit mode. What we're going to do is now go to face select. We're going to press C for paint select. We're going to paint basically where I just held the middle mouse button to deselect that right there. We're just selecting where our hair would most likely be. So I pressed the middle mouse button, or I came out of paint select. Now I'm pressing C again. I'll hold the middle mouse button to rotate. Press C again. Okay. Okay, with this geometry selected, we're going to hold shift and press D to duplicate. So we have our duplicate hair right there. We're now going to press P to bring up our separate menu. We're then going to choose selection. So we just separated that duplicate hair. I'm now going to left click on nothingness to deselect. I'm going to go to the upper left, then go to object mode. Okay, we're going to, there we go. Select our mesh that we just made, and we're going to use this to put a hair texture on. We're going to go to edit mode. Then we're going to press A to select all the geometry of that mesh. Okay, with this mesh selected, we're going to hold Alt, press S, hold Shift, then pull down to make that mesh come away from the head. We're going to go, I'm going to left click to deselect, go to the upper left, go to object mode, go to the material tab, select plus, new, go to the old material, select minus to take that material off. So now we have this material here, which doesn't have anything on it. I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, what we're going to do now is we are going to select our curve, bring this down. Bring this forward some. Press R to rotate on the Z axis like this. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go to edit mode for this. We'll press R to rotate on the Y axis like this. Go to our move tool, push that down. Push this down like that. Push this. Okay, that's not what I wanted. If you right click when you start to move something, you'll almost in a sense do an undo. I'm going to press A, press S to scale, and I'll press X again. Okay, Y, Y again, Z, Z again. Not the one I want. Just trying to scale in a particular axis. I'm going to go back to object mode. Went to the left. Press S to scale and There we go. Press Z twice is what I did, by the way. If you press Z, you'll scale on the Z axis. If you press Z, you'll scale like you would expect to scale, if that makes sense. I'm going to go back to edit mode. Push that down. It's like this. Make this. I'll press G to scale on the Z axis like that. I'm going to go back to object mode now. I'm going to hold shift, press D, right click. Just point this out to the side. I'll press S to scale in the Z axis to make that somewhat longer. I'm going to hold shift. To select both of those, I'm going to hold shift, press D, right click, press R to rotate on the Z axis. I just duplicated that hair, just pushing it over. R to rotate on the Z axis like that. Holding shift to select both pieces. I'm going to select all of these, press S to scale them up some, like that. I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, we're going to select this hair mesh here. Okay, with this selected, we'll go to UV editing. We see this view here. That's from what we did before previously when we were in local view. That's what I think that's from. Pretty sure that's from. We'll go to view, local view. Toggle local view. There we go. We'll press X to get rid of that there. I'll roll the mouse wheel to zoom back here. We'll press A to select the hair there. Here is the hair. We'll select, actually, let's see. We'll go to open. We'll bring in the picture of this hair here. Roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. Okay, what we want to do here is look at these pieces here. All these pieces here are this laid out flat in a sense. What we're going to do is hover here, press L, press R, press G, press S to put that there. So we would just want this covering over that hair there. Left click to deselect. We'll hover here, press L, press R. I'm going to actually left click here, press O, press G to turn on proportional editing. Select there. Just straighten that out some. I'll left click there. I'm going to press O to turn off proportional editing. I'm going to hover here, press L, press G. I'll left click nothingness, deselect. I'll press O. We could also just click there to turn on proportional editing. I'll left click here, press G. Left click on nothingness to deselect. Okay, what we'll do now is we'll go to, we can left click to deselect. We'll go to shading. So we have our principal shader set up. When, that this comes when we make a new material. We need to go to add texture, image texture. Blender should remember what we did. So when we select here, we should be able to select hair, plug this into the base color, the principal shader. So we have this texture there. We'll take down the, I'll hold control, that space so you can see. This is what we're working with. Okay, as far as this looks kind of like grayed out in a sense. Go to your specular, take your specular down. Now this can be adjusted. You can make this look better. Like I said, we're going for a modest attempt here. This isn't really what I want to show you as far as the hair. This is very simple. I wanted to show you how to make a hair look more like hair with transparent planes, and that's what we're going to do with these curves right here. Okay, so the current plan is to have these look like more like hair than planes there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to layout, I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan up. Okay, we're going to select these pieces here. We're going to go to Object, Convert to Mesh from Curve, Object, Convert, Mesh from Curve, Object, there we go, Convert, Mesh from Curve, Object, or select that, then we go to Object, then Mesh from Curve. Okay, so what we want to do is select these pieces, hold Shift, hold Control, then press J. That joined all of those pieces into one hair piece, or into one mesh, I should say. So then with that selected, let's go to UV editing. So we have this hair here on that side, which isn't, right now you want to focus right here. You're going to press A, select, press U, then select unwrap. Okay, so what we want to do here is have each one of these hair pieces go over the hair here. I actually want the thinner hair. So I just press the X button there. I'm going to go to Open, Pictures, select the thinner hair, then select Open Image. I'm going to, the proportional editing tool is on. I'm going to press O to turn that off. I'm going to select this piece of hair, press L, press S to scale on the X axis. I'll press G. It's important you want these wispy pieces that are over transparency here. That's what you want. Okay, so with that selected, we'll press S to scale on the Y axis. I'll press G to move this down. Remember, I want these transparent pieces there. I'll select here, press L, press S to scale on the X axis. I'll push in. I'll press G to, I'll go for this one here. S to scale. So I want that transparency there. So I'll press S to scale on the Y axis. Press G. S to scale on the Y axis. I still can get more, so I'm going to press S to scale on the Y axis. Okay, we'll select here. Press L. Press G. S to scale on the X axis. Press G. S to scale on the Y axis. We'll press G. That down like that. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, so we'll hover here, press L, press G, press S to scale on the Y axis. Press S to scale on the Y axis here. Left click there to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the shading tab near the top. With this hair selected, we're going to go to our material tab, select new. We see a printable BSDF shader pop up. With this, we're going to select this, so just this is selected. This isn't currently selected. We're going to press X to get rid of the printable shader. We need to add a few nodes in here. So we're going to go to Add, Texture, Image Texture, Add, Shader, Transparent BSDF, Add, Shader. We want a mix shader now. Okay, we're about to set up these nodes so that the hair looks transparent. One of the things we need to do is we need to go to Wait a second. Okay, we're going to go to open. Let me go to control space. You can see these are the nodes that we're dealing with here. We're going to go to open, pictures. We're going to go to thinner hair, select open image. This color is going to go to the bottom shader. This transparent shader is going to go to the upper shader. This alpha is going to go to the fact. Then from the mix shader, the shader is going to come out of the mix shader, then go into the surface of the material output. Okay, see how we have this black? We want to left click on our image texture there. Okay, wait. There's something we need to change. Oh, that's why we're in. Okay, we're in cycles. We need to be in Eevee. In Eevee, which is where we want to be. Eevee is a rendering engine. Cycles is another rendering engine. Eevee is a real-time rendering engine. So you want to be in Eevee. See this blend mode right here? Just making sure I don't have to be selected on a certain node to see it. This blend mode, you want to change this to alpha blend. Now, when you do that, you can see that you can see this hair as transparent. This hair is not going the direction that we want it to go. What I mean by that is the wispy parts that I wanted to see, we don't see. It looks like they're going into the scalp. So let's go back to the UV editing window. We should be able to press L, press R to rotate 180. We'll do the same thing for all of these. L, R to rotate 180. Whoops. Wait a second. R 1 8. Oh, I see. Okay. L. Yeah. R 180. L. R 180. L. R 180. So I'm saying rotate 180 degrees, which basically makes this flip over. I'm going to left click on nothingness to deselect. Okay, I'm going to left click to deselect. We're going to go to back to our shading. See how we have like that kind of like wispy hair there now, like that. Okay, if you spent enough time with each of these individual pieces of hair, you can have some amazing looking hair. So how can you have decent looking hair with less time? Well, I'll show you how. Okay, we're going to go to the upper left. We're going to go to layout. We're going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. We'll hold Alt, press H. This brings back all the previously hidden objects we had hidden before. I'm going to left click to deselect. We're going to select this high poly object, then select the eye to hide that. Okay, we're going to select this hair block out here. We're going to click on this tab that shows our modifiers. So we put a motif resolution modifier. That's what we put on when we shape this hair. We're going to take the preview down to 1, sculpt down to 1, render down to 1. quality down to 1. We're then going to left click on apply. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the upper left. We're going to go to edit mode. So we have all this geometry here. We want to go to face select. We're going to press C for paint select. We're going to select the outside geometry. Press I'll roll my mouse wheel. It's pressing F, trying to make the mouse bigger. So we'll select all of this geometry here. This geometry here. Oops. I'll right click, get a paint select, zoom back by rolling the mouse wheel, press C for paint select. So we're only selecting the geometry that we can see, which is the outside geometry, which is what we want for the most part anyway. I'll press C for paint select, roll my mouse, hold the middle mouse button to deselect this here, deselect that there, pressing C, holding the middle mouse button to deselect there. Now I'm left clicking to select there. Same thing here, I'll press C, deselect here, deselecting here, deselecting here, press C, press the middle mouse button to deselect there, select here, okay, so with all of this hair selected, now the key is we selected the outside of the hair, not the inside. Now we're going to hold shift, press D. So we have this duplicate here. I'm going to right click to get that hair to jump back to its original position. I'm then going to press P to bring up our separate menu. I'm then going to choose selection. So now I'm going to left click to deselect. I'm going to go to the upper left, then go to object mode. Okay, we have this sphere 1. I'm going to left click that. That should have been the first one we made. I'm going to press X, then choose delete to delete that that first sphere. So now we're left with just the duplicate that we made. Okay, so we'll select this hair. We'll go to the upper left. We'll go to edit mode. So what we're going to do here is go to edge select. We'll hold Alt. We'll put some seams in here. I'm going to hold Shift as well as Alt. I'll let go of Shift. Well, I'm holding Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, I'll hold the middle mouse button to rotate back towards the front. I'm going to hold Shift as well as Alt. Put some more seams in here. Okay, with all those seams put in, I'll hold Control, press E. Then I'll select Mark Seam. So now what I'm going to do is go to UV image editing. I'm going to press A to select all the geometry. Press U. This brings up our unwrapping menu. Then I'll select unwrap. And that's not quite what I expected. So I'm going to hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. I'll hold Alt. Edge select, yeah, I'll select Alt. Let's see, I'll hold Control. Yeah, it's not working. There we go. I'm holding Control. I'm using the shortest path technique. So I'm just, while holding Control, I am just clicking on these edges here. And I want to put a seam right here. That worked out fairly well. I'm going to hold Shift to deselect here, as well as here, as well as here. So with all that selected, I'm going to hold Control, press E, then select Mark Seam. I'll then left click to deselect. Okay, with that done, we'll go to Face Select. Well, actually, we'll press A to select everything. Then we'll press U. Then we'll just bring it up our unwrapping menu. We'll select Unwrap again. That's interesting. So now I'm just trying to see so when I select here, I can see what's here. This here. I'm going to go to View, Local View. Oh, I see. It's interesting. So over here, I'll go to Edge Select. I'll hold Alt, hold Control, press E, select Mark Seam. Now I'll go to Face Select, press A, press U, select Unwrap. Now, because of this, I'm just going to delete here, press X, choose Faces to delete. I'm actually going to go to Edge Select, hold Alt, well, not there, there we go. Hold Shift, hold Control, press E, select Mark Seam. Then I'll press A, I'll go to Face Select, press U, brings up our UV unmapping menu, then select Unwrap. Okay, that's better. Okay, so you can see that this here is the parts that are going towards the center, so we don't want that. So what we're going to do is press L, R180, left click, hover here, or left click to deselect, L, R180, press enter. This one looks all right. L, R180, enter. Select here, L, R to rotate on 180 degrees, press enter. L, R to rotate on 180 degrees, press enter. These ones look right. I'll select here, press L. These small pieces here, we'll press G to move them up as well as away. Okay, this here, I'm actually going to press C for paint select. Select that. Holding the middle mouse button to get rid of that selection. I'm going to press X to bring up the delete menu, then delete those faces there. This here, similar. Held the middle mouse button to get rid of the selection. Holding shift, I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose faces to delete. I'm going to press A. This will spin everything back again. Probably, anyway. U to bring up our UV unmapping menu, then I'm going to select unwrap. Okay, it did. So I'll zoom in. I'll press C for paint select. Select all of this. Hold Control, press L. That didn't work. We have to go to vertex select. So if you have part of an object selected, I'm going to right click. If you hold Control, press L, you'll select all of that object. So I'm going to press G just to move these up and out of the way. Holding the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I left clicked on nothingness to deselect. Okay, I'm going to hover here, press L, R180, press enter, left click, hover here, L, R180, press enter. Hover here, L, R180, press enter. Hover here, L, R180, press enter. I'll hold Control L to select this. Press G. I saw that I messed that up there, so I'm pressing G. Trying to put this back to where it looks like it's in position. Press L, press G. I'll move this out of the way for now. Press L, press G. Press S to scale this up some. Press G. This here, I'll press L, R180, press enter. I'll hover here, press L, press G to move this out of the way. Okay, what we're going to do is hold Control, press space to maximize this view. We're going to press C for paint select, then Control L, press G to move this out of the way. Left click here. This is in a good position. We'll press C for these, hold Control, press L, press G to move those out of the way. This here, L, G to move that out of the way. This will press L, G. We'll press S to scale on the Y axis here. Select here, oops, L, G, S to scale on the Y axis here, L, G, S to scale on the Y axis here. That's in a good position. L, That's the scale on the Y axis here. Trying to get that wispy hair there. Press S to scale on the X axis here, like that. And for these other pieces of hair, we'll press L, G. Just put that on. L, G. Up. L, G. Just aiming for that wispy hair. L, G. Or to rotate on 180-degree axis, press G. L. Press G. L. Here. G. This here. L. Oops. L. G. Paint select. G. L. Auto rotate 180. Left click to lock that in. Press G. That's the scale on the X axis, like that. Okay, what we're going to do is hold Control, press space. With that setup like that, we'll left click on nothingness to deselect. We'll go to shading. So we'll select the hair. We'll select new. We're selected on the hair. We'll press X to get rid of the principled shader. We'll go to add texture, image texture. We'll select open. We'll go to thinner hair. Select open image. We'll go to add shader, transparent BSDF. We'll go to add shader, mix shader. So I'll hold Control space. These are the nodes. So the color, you want to go to the bottom shader, the transparent BSDF, you want to go to the top shader, the alpha into the fact, the mix shader into the surface. Okay, so we see all this black. So what we need to do is come down to where we see this blend mode. We select the arrow. We then go to alpha blend. So now we can see this this hair here like that. Because it's thinner, let's go to, it looks too thin. We'll go to hair, go to open image. I think that looks better. Just taking a look. Okay, now looking at it, I think I like the thinner hair better. So we'll go back to that. So let's go to layout. Okay, what we can do now is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Just taking a look. We're going to select the hair, hold shift, press D, right click. We're going to press S to scale this hair down some. Then what we're going to do is press R to rotate on the Z axis. Okay, so that's the inner hair. Now we're going to left click to deselect, select the outer hair, hold shift, press D, right click, press S to scale this hair up some. We're going to press R to rotate on the Z axis slightly the other direction. See how when we rotate there's the transparency looks kind of it can look a little off. Well, before we do anything, we're going to hold shift, select, well, okay, I'm going to left click on nothingness. Let's select the outer hair, hold shift, outer hair, inner hair, there we go. We'll hold control, press J to join all of those hairs together. Now when I rotate the view, if you look, you can see it looks a little strange, the transparency. So what we can do is go to the material. I learned this from Grant Abbott. You want to learn more about what I'm about to show you here, you can go to his YouTube channel. He makes good YouTube videos. The alpha blend, the alpha clip apparently uses the least amount of power as far as working with transparency, according to Grant. If you go to the alpha hashed, your transparencies tend to look better, and I agree. However, this tends to take more power. And then the alpha blend is supposedly somewhat better than alpha clip, but not as good as alpha hashed. However, in this instance, the alpha blend caused issues. We're going to go back to blend mode and go back to alpha clip, which I think this looks good here. Okay, something else we can do is we can select this hair here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side and press S just to scale that up some. I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, what we want to do now is select the scalp. Okay, what we're going to do is go to the sculpting tab up top. We'll press F to shrink our brush. We'll go to the look dev mode. We're going to go to our crease brush, press F to make the brush size bigger. Right where we want to see the scalp, we're just going to push this in. There we go. So we're actually pushing the scalp into the head mesh some there. Okay, I'm going to press F to shrink the brush. What we can do now is let's actually, we'll go back to layout mode. We'll select the hair. Now we'll go to sculpt mode. Now what's neat is now that the hair is like this, what we can do is we can take this hair and we can manipulate this hair somewhat. So we can push the hair in. Yeah, we can style the hair in a sense, like we can make it come out some. And because of Eevee, we get to see the effects immediately, which is very nice. I'm going to hold control as well as the mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to press F to shrink my brush size. Okay, what we're going to do is go to the upper left. We're going to go to object mode. Okay, let's select the eyebrows. With the eyebrows selected, we'll go to edit mode. Now we'll go to view, local view, toggle local view. When we look at the eyebrows, the shading doesn't look right. Let's press A to select them all. We'll go to mesh, normals, recalculate the outside. That didn't do anything. Typically when you see that shading, there's an issue with your normals. Recalculate the inside, and there we go. That fixed things. Now what we want to do is we're going to go to edge select, hold Alt. So we have a mirror on there. So I'm just putting seams here. Up. Okay, so I'm going to hold Control, press E. This brings up our edges menu. I'm then going to select Mark Seam, then left click to deselect. Okay, we're going to go to our upper left, go to View, Local View, come out of Toggle Local View. We'll go to Object Mode. We still have those selected. Let's go to UV Editing. We'll go here to View, Local View, Toggle Local View. Holding Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. When I first came in, I held the middle mouse button to rotate. Let's press A to select of the geometry eyebrows. Let's press U to bring up our UV mapping menu, then select Unwrap. Let's select these eyebrows, press S to scale. Let's press R to rotate, S to scale. Press G, or to rotate. Okay, I'm going to go to View, Local View, Toggle Local View. Oh, okay, I didn't want that. Come out of Local View. Now we'll go to Object Mode. Object mode is fine for now. We'll go to shading. So for shading, we have this material on the eyebrows. Let's go to Add Texture. Add Texture. Image Texture. We'll select Open. Thinner Hair. Select Open Image. Connect this to the base color. We'll take the specular down. Okay, what we're going to do now is go back to layout mode. We're going to select our mesh. We're going to select the hair. We're going to press H to hide that hair. We're going to hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan the view. We're going to go to the upper left, go to edit mode. We're going to hold Shift and right click to put the 3D cursor right here. We're going to zoom in. Okay, we have this lower jaw area. We're going to choose select. So we set that up from before, which is excellent. We're going to go to the top. This is the pivot point settings. We're going to change this from medium point to the 3D cursor. Okay, what we're going to do here, we're going to press the O key to turn on the proportional editing tool. We'll press G so we can see it. Shrink that down. Left click to lock that in. Then we'll press R to rotate on the X axis. Now I'm rolling the mouse as I open the mouth up. So before we had we disconnected the mouth. Okay, what we want to do here is connect the inside of the mouth to the outside of the mouth there. We're going to go to face select, hover here, press L, press L, press L. We're going to take this manipulator, push that forward, something like that. I'm going to left click to deselect. We're going to go to edge select. I'm going to turn off the proportional editing tool by pressing O. I'm going to, with edge select one, I'm going to hold Alt and I'm going to select this inner loop right here. If you look right beneath my mouse, you can see there's the edges are 20, right? To do a bridge edge loop, you need equal edges. So I'm going to hold Shift as well as Alt. Now I'm going to left click on that edge. I'm letting go of Shift as well as Alt. When you look beneath my mouse, you can see there's edges are 40, so that's even. So we can easily bridge those edges. I'm going to hold Control, press E. This brings up my bridge edge or my edge menu. I'm going to select bridge edge loop so we can easily bridge that right there. I'm going to go to Alt, left click here, press O to turn on the proportional editing tool, press. Okay, we need to turn off, take the pivot point. We need to change this from the 3D cursor back to the medium point. Now I'm going to press S to scale this. Okay, I'm going to press S to scale on the Z axis. Okay, a second. Okay, sorry. You want the inner mouth. There we go. S to scale on the Z axis. And S to scale. S to scale on the Y axis. Just looking at the edge of the lips there. And select here. Push that down. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, rotate. I am going to go to face select, press C for paint select, select the tip of the tongue, press G and then Y to bring the tongue forward some, then push this down slightly, then left click to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to object mode, zoom back. We're going to hold shift and right click. We're going to hold shift, press A. Let's make some quick teeth. When we press shift A, we brought up our add to menu. We're going to go to cube. We're going to go to view, local view, toggle local view, zoom back. We'll go to edit mode. We're going to right click, select subdivide. We'll look to our subdivide menu to the bottom left. We'll take this up to 3 cuts. We'll press S to scale on the Z axis like that. S to scale on the Y axis like this. S to scale on the Y axis more. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. Okay, I'm going to press, I left clicked on nothingness to deselect. I go to wireframe. We're on face select. I'm going to go to view. View, viewpoint, front. I'm going to press B for box select, go slightly past the halfway point. I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose faces to delete. I'm going to select Z, go to solid view. I'm going to go back to object mode, go to the modifier, select mirror modifier, go back to edit mode, hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Select this triangular looking button with or triangle with circles on it. I'm going to press Z, go to wireframe, hold B, select right there, press Z, go to solid view. So we're in a top view. I'm going to press R to rotate, pull down this way, pull out some like this. Basically, when I make teeth, I tend to do similar thing. I use, there's 6 portions basically on one side. So I'll select this here. Let's go to view, viewport, point, top view. So now what I'll do is I'll press E, R to rotate, so there's 3. E, here's 4. I'll rotate some here. I'll press S to scale on the y-axis 0. There we go. To flatten that out some. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'll press E. 5. E. 6. Okay, what we're making here is low poly teeth. However, if you want to make more detailed teeth, this will work, the same procedure. I just press C for paint select. I'm selecting the top of the teeth. I'm going to press S to scale on the Z-axis 0 to, whoa. That was interesting. S to scale on the Z-axis 0 to flatten the teeth out. Okay. So the teeth got messed up here. We can fix that just by selecting there, pressing X, choosing faces to delete. Then we can go to edge select. We'll press E. Bring the teeth straight back. Okay, so let's try this again. Press S to scale. We'll press S to scale on the Z-axis 0. What's going on here? S to scale on the Z-axis 0. This is interesting. Normally that. Okay, I get it. So that's flat. Everything else isn't flat. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to press S to scale on the Z-axis 0. It flattens out the geometry there. I wonder if that'll work on the edge. Let's see. S to scale on the Z-axis 0. Oh, it does work. Look at that on there too. Holding Alt, S to scale on the Z-axis 0. Left click on nothingness. Hold Alt, S to scale on the Z-axis 0. That's interesting. Left click to deselect. And if you're like, what is going on there? He's, scaling and talking about flattening things out. If you scale on it, like if you want to do something from top to bottom flat, you S to scale on the Z-axis. It flattens geometry. Very similar to what you just saw. Okay, this geometry right here, I'm going to go to face select. This top geometry, we don't need this because this will be facing the top of the mouth. So it's just extra geometry we don't need. So we'll press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose faces to delete. Okay, what we want to do now is we're going to go to object mode, right click, select shade smooth, hold shift, press D, right click. We duplicated this geometry. We're going to press R to rotate on the, what is it though? Y-axis 180. Left click to lock that in. Left click on nothingness to deselect. Okay, now we're going to go to view, local view, toggle local view. So let's go to look dev mode. Let's select the teeth. Well, let's select one. Let's go to materials, new. Let's go to shading. Let's zoom in. Let's take this specular up since they're teeth. Let's take the roughness down. And what that's going to do is just tend to make the teeth very shiny. This material is what we just made. So let's name this teeth M, standing for teeth material. So now what we can do is select these teeth. And then we can either select here, select teeth M. Something else it's nice for you to know about is you can actually like select a material like this, select here. With that material, you can select arrow, select copy material, then select paste the material. So anyway, with that done, we'll go to the layout, back to layout. Okay, so we're going to hold shift. We're going to push these teeth into position. Let's go to view, viewpoint front. So we're in the front orthographic view. If you look to the left here, you can see we're in the front orthographic view. I'm going to use the origin points to line these teeth up right to the center of the face. We'll press S to scale these down. Oh, so they're back far, so we'll push them forward. Hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Bring them back. Forward, something like that. We'll press S to scale them down some. Oh. That up some like that. This down some. I know this is a long tutorial. However, since we already have the mouth open, we might as well put a shape key on in case you want to open the mouth later. So very quickly, we're going to shut the mouth. To make a shape key, you click on this triangle. It looks like a little triangle with circles on it. We're going to select the plus button. You want to leave this basis, select the plus button again. When you have the second key here, you can manipulate your mesh. So we'll go to edit mode. Here in edit mode, we'll use that jaw area. We'll go to the side. Just hold the middle mouse button to go to the side. We'll hold shift, right click. Go up here near the center of the top screen. We'll go to the pivot point, change the pivot point from Blender's default pivot point to the 3D cursor. Okay, I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'll press R to rotate on the x-axis. Okay, I need the proportional editing tool, so I'll press O. And I'll press R to rotate on the x-axis. See, I can roll the proportional editing tool to make the mouth adjust. There we go. So I'll left click to deselect. Okay, what's kind of neat about what we did is we're going to go to the upper left, go to object mode. So now we have this shape key, so when we take this setting up, our mouth will shut. So pretty neat. Okay, what we're going to do is hold Alt, press H to bring back our other geometry. We're going to left click on nothingness to deselect. We're going to go to that high poly mesh and then hide that again. Okay, I'm going to left click on this hair. Move that up some. Maybe press R to rotate on the, oh, I see. The pivot point, let's change that back from the 3D cursor back to the medium point, which is the Blender's default pivot point. Let's press R to rotate on the x-axis. edit mode. I press G. Object mode. Select this, down some. Back to scope mode, crease brush. Okay, I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan down. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Yeah, I'm just holding the middle mouse button, just taking a look here. I like how this turned out. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and we share them, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And for those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe and thank you for viewing.